Folks, if we do not get to your question today, I apologize, but my DMs are open. Hit me up on Twitter at @WhatGoingDowney if you have any questions on anything around the NFL. Super chat from Justin Piper. He says the Cowboys should cut Anthony Brown and draft Jalen Pitre. So 2 different moves. You might cut Anthony Brown. You might trade him as well. The money saved makes it at least a conversation there, though he played well as your CB2. Jalen Pitre, I like him as a safety target in round 2. He is probably going to go after the Cowboys' round 1 pick before their round 2 pick, but I'm a big fan of him. He's a top 5 safety from this year, and I would be happy if the Cowboys took him in the 2nd round. Hector Gaming. Should the NFL start a small league for free agency players who don't play in the NFL? Not really. I think that kind of defeats their purpose of having practice squads, kind of what their role is there. And that's where like the USFL and XFL and AAF kind of fill that need. I'll also make the point that, money-wise, not the best investment by the NFL. From Abhiram Hegde, Steelers traded their first-round pick, their second and a future third in 2019 to go up and get Devin Bush. Is that a valid package for the Jets to do the same this year to get a QB? I thought it was just a first and a third. Let me double-check that. But, oh, no, you're right. Second and third. You're right. I think your value is probably about right to go get a QB, a second, a third. In general, QBs go a little bit earlier, but the value of the QBs isn't the same this year. So I think using a trade package in the past is a very good idea to get a starting point there. So swap first, a second, and a third. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good trade package there. Sammy Silver, Carson Wentz to the Broncos and Kirk Cousins to the Colts. Thoughts? If you're the Colts, I think you do it. If you're the Vikings in Denver, I'm not so sure. I don't know if you really want to go with Carson Wentz. He's been bad his last 2 teams, or at least not good enough, I should say, his last 2 teams. Cousins and the Colts, they make the playoffs this past year. So I understand their interest. If Minnesota wants to rebuild, then yeah, I think that does make a lot of sense for them to potentially move on from Kirk Cousins. I want you guys now to shout out your favorite NFL team for me one more time in the comments section. I'm going to make this question the pinned comments on today's video. So we get the ad break here on YouTube. Head down there and let me know who your favorite NFL team is. Nick Mckee, do you think Cam Newton is better than Mike Vick all time? As someone who loved Mike Vick, especially, pre the whole dogfighting thing, the answer's yes, Cam Newton's better. Mike Vick did go to a couple Pro Bowls. Cam Newton was an All-Pro and won an NFL MVP. Mike Vick never did that. So the right answer here is yes, it is Cam Newton. As dynamic as Mike Vick was, in the end, he lost a lot of his prime years because of the whole off-the-field stuff, which was fair in the end. From Fried Rice, how would you feel about Jameson Williams or John Mechie going to Arizona? So that would probably be a round 1 pick of Jameson Williams and a round 2 pick of John Mechie. My only concern here is how many early round picks is Arizona going to throw at receiver? They got DeAndre Hopkins. They spent a 2nd round pick on Ian Isabella, who's a bust. A 2nd round pick on Rondale Moore. Now, Christian Kirk, another early round pick, and A.J. Green are free agents. I would be okay with it, but maybe you just try to spend a medium free agency edition on that spot so you can invest young players at different positions beyond just receiver. From Jessica Lampert, Giants offseason plans including a Saquon Barkley trade. I think it makes some sense. I think if you want to move on from Saquon, now is the time to do it. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think it's a conversation the Giants got to have because the Barkley pick, with a new regime in place, not as committed to the old one. It's a good idea to at least consider for the Giants. Brownie 2.0. Where will Jadeveon Clowney end up after a bounce-back year? It's a good question. Clowney is still not quite the guy he's supposed to be. He's not bad, but he still can't get to double-digit sacks. He's always right there on the precipice. I do think Cleveland, opposite Myles Garrett, is a good fit for him. So some teams, to answer your question. Re-signing Cleveland. I think that's a good idea for all parties involved. Minnesota, with Danielle Hunter's uncertainty, makes sense. Opposite Joey Bosa in L.A. That's fun. The Ravens, that kind of fits their typical MO. You know, Klein can play in a 3-4 and a 4-3. And if you want to get really wild, how about the Patriots as a potential destination for Clowney? But what do you guys think? Where will Clowney sign in 2022 NFL free agency? Make your predictions for me right now in the comments section. Lonzie Champion, is this Matt Ryan's last year? I think that's what you mean. Or will Matt Ryan last this year in terms of staying healthy? Healthy? Yes. His last year? I don't think so. I think if you put Matt Ryan with a not bad offensive line and a better receiving core, he's probably still a pretty good football player. Fionan Brady next up here. So the Jets double dip on O-line in the first 2 rounds. Right tackle, Ike Mekwonu, Darian Kennard at 38, or maybe Zion Johnson. You've got, obviously, Elijah Vera Tucker. So if you're not going to, keep Greg Van Roten or Roten or LDT, I'm on board with that. I get a little bit worried if you go into the draft needing both positions badly. That just worries me in terms of forcing a pick. It's a little early for me on Kennard, but I think he'd be a good guard, especially if you want to run the football. So Mekwonu, I'm on board with. Kennard, I could be fine with too. If you guys want more NFL coverage, hit me up on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney, and my DMs are open if you have any questions as well. From Breeze, what do you think about this? Lions signed Michael Gallup, Christian Kirk, and Jordan Whitehead in free agency. Wholly on board with Whitehead. I think that fills a need given that Tracy Walker is a free agent and, Will Harris wasn't great this year. At receiver, I like the Gallup addition. Outside, vertical threat, good move. Amon-Ra St. Brown's your slot. That's kind of what Christian Kirk has done a decent amount in free agency. For Arizona. So maybe not Kirk. Maybe assign Gallup and draft somebody and spend some money at maybe linebacker, corner, edge in free agency instead. Ethan Klein. Do the Raiders have enough money for J.C. Jackson and Davante Adams? They can if they want. I don't think the Raiders would choose to sign the 2 most expensive free agents if they hit the market. Probably pick one of those guys to go get and, go cheaper at the opposite position. From Jeff's burner account, should the Titans throw money at Gronk? He's a fun addition, actually. It's like fit-wise, I love it. I would wonder if Gronk retires again until maybe Brady comes back or not. Gronk is still playing at a pretty high level. Now, he's not peak Gronk anymore, but he's probably still a top 10 tight end in the NFL. Tennessee, if you can land him, I like it. I would watch out for the Titans getting aggressive at that position in free agency. So will Gronk play in 2022? Let's make some predictions in the comment section for me. Y for yes, he will. N for no, he will not. He will instead retire. Let me know in the comment section. Luis Rodriguez. Chances the XFL becomes a league the NFL uses as a minor league. As an official minor league, I don't know. Maybe. They are going to work together. Have some collaboration. I think is good for the XFL. What you might see in the end is this. The XFL becomes a default minor league, kind of like how college football is to an extent, but different styles, of course, in the sense that the good XFL players are going to go to the NFL, whether it is an official minor league or not. Eric Burton, over/under 2.5 QBs in the first round. You guys type in over, you for under right now. I'm going to go over. I think 3 is my guess. That might change. See what free agency draft and free agency trade stuff happens, but I'm going to go 3 in round 1. Robert Bruce. Hello, Jeff, Tom, and Marshall. What up, Marshall? He's still out there, I think. How different do you think the Patriots playbook will be without McDaniels, and will they retain most of it for Mac Jones? Yeah, I don't think the offense will change that much. It's going to be run heavy, play action, occasional deep shots, quick passes for Mac Jones. I don't think the offense is going to change really at all for New England. Greyhawk 47, who will draft Tyler Linderbaum? Great question. Great question. I don't know. If I were in charge, I would take Linderbaum top 10 if I had a center need. Now, that is a lower position of value, but I argue undervalued position as well. At Iowa, against all them Big Ten, hog mollies up front, he was awesome. Yeah, he might have some power issues, but I think he's a fantastic prospect. Look, he's not the Quentin Nelson of centers, but he ain't that far behind either. His range is top 10 to late round 1. If the Giants want to take him, I think it'd be a home run selection. The Ravens could take him. Dallas, Tennessee, Miami, Cincinnati, all teams that could use offensive line help. Miami gets him at 29, best pick in the draft. Book it. I don't think he falls. I think in the end, 14 to 24 should be his range, but it's the draft. I think weird stuff's going to happen this year. So what do you guys think? Who will draft Tyler Linderbaum? Let me know in the comments section. From Vaping Soldier, who should the Chargers go get in free agency? Big old defensive lineman up front. Invest in a run-stopping DT. If you lose Mike Williams, go out a receiver. Allen Robinson on the cheap. Could be an option there. And I would love some offensive line help. I think Brian Bulaga is going to get cut, so go find a new right tackle in the end. Rich Atwood, you think Adams and Rodgers are going to Denver? I'm going to go with no, at least on both of them. Not going to rule out the Aaron Rodgers to Denver side of it, but I think Adams will end up getting at least franchise tagged by Green Bay in the end.